Okay, in this book, Revolt of the Public, Martin Gurri actually talks about the Dictators Paradox and the Democratic Paradox. And those two really struck me in terms of the relationship between the leaders and information and the truth about the way they communicate with the public. So I'm just going to lay out those two things in this video. And I thought these were brilliant when it comes to the information sphere that we're seeing online. So the dictator's paradox is that the dictator needs to maintain tight control over information in order to maintain the dictator's legitimacy. However, at the same time, the dictator's legitimacy depends on prosperity in part. And for prosperity in a country, you do need free flow of information. That's just an economic principle. If you shut down all exchange of information, the economy is going to tank. And the way dictators tend to handle that is that they allow free flow of information, except for information that criticizes them. And they tightly control that. So that's sort of the goal of a dictator, but how easy is it to stop critique of the government when you're allowing free flow of information in other realms, especially when people can kind of develop their own language that's sort of subtle and passive-aggressive that critiques the government in their own ways. Now, the democratic paradox is the fact that to win an election, you have to promise the world to people. However, once you're elected, if you want to win the next election, you have to not get too many horrible critiques. And the way to not get too many horrible critiques is going to be to not do anything while you're in office. Because if you do anything, you're acting on this complex system. And of course, the economy and the general social environment is a very complex system where you can't predict the second order and third order effects from any action you take. So if you take action, there are going to be some really bad unintended consequences of that, almost for sure. Those will be attributed directly to you. So you will be blamed, so you will not be reelected. If you want to avoid that, just don't do anything dramatic, and nobody can actually directly critique you or directly attribute negative effects to your action, in which case at least you have a shot of being reelected. So to be clear, the democratic paradox is that you have to promise the world to get elected, and then you have to not do anything to get reelected.